Greetings, subjects, and welcome back to Rose Crescent, and it's time for another behind the scenes. Yay!
Yay!
Yay.
I too am
cheerful.
here.
I know, I was beginning to wonder a bit. Well, as you remember from last time, we have some questions. We'll read the questions, answer the questions, and just see where it goes from there. So, and these questions are presented by Rin. Although, if any of you fine folks happen to have some questions you want answered in a future behind the scenes, or maybe in before the games in the intro section of our episodes, present them and let's have some fun with it. Okay, so first question. Do you do anything to help you get into character, starting with evil tendencies?
Man, put me on the spot right away.
Yes, because I'm evil like that.
No, I'm evil. So one of my favorite character actors is Peter Jurasik. He played Ambassador Landa Malari in Babylon 5. And he very famously, at least for fans of B5, said that the way he got into character was just saying, Mr. Garibaldi, Mr. Garibaldi, Mr. Garibaldi, until he found the character. And at the risk of sounding really, really pretentious, I kind of did something similar.
It's so pretentious. So pretentious.
Well, yeah. I just don't want to risk it. But I actually sit and imagine scenarios in my head quietly where I am arguing with Elisa. And just the back and forth of the old curmudgeonly ADHD soldier and the very precise and proper and by the book soldier, and getting myself to the spot where I can imagine like pushing her buttons and she's, lecturing me. And that's kind of how I do it.
Of course, I can just imagine what it'll take to get Alyssa to toss the book away. That'll be an interesting moment when it happens.
Yeah. It'll mean that I can't get into character anymore.
Well, one of the fun things of being a GM is breaking your characters emotionally and sometimes physically.
Cool.
What about you, Ira? How do you help get into character for Alyssa? If at all.
She is a surprisingly easy character to get into the right mindset with. Really, all I mostly have to do is just relax. The core of her character is she is kind of old and tired of she's seen like every vague excuse used to try and weasel out of a mistake, if you will. So a lot of her reaction is more just like you just react mostly with just tiredness and frustration. You basically can get her character down pretty quickly.
Fair enough. Although that begs the question, does she keep a tally in her head of like, oh, I seem to have lost it. 394. What? I've heard that excuse 394 times.
She probably doesn't want to.
But she can't help herself.
you undergo mental training, and you think being able to remember things is going to be useful in the long run.
This is true. Curse that transhuman physiology.
Mm-hmm.
What would Alyssa's reaction be if she heard an excuse she hadn't heard before?
She would probably... She'd probably be surprised, but just move on. Fundamentally, a core part of her character, she doesn't care about your excuse. She just cares about the results. Part of the reason she's a stickler for rules is because if you follow the rules and something goes wrong, then it's someone else's fault.
You'd have a good excuse to pass the buck, as it were.
Basically.
Hey, I'm always a fan of passing the buck. All right, what about you, Rin? How do you get into character for Chiako?
Well, for the most part, it's usually making myself do as big of a grin as I can manage myself. And also I try to more physically get into character, I suppose. Like I will sort of like hunch down over my keyboard as if I'm like trying to creep around in an I'm gonna get ya type of manner. So, and that kind of pulls out the excitement and the creepy out of me.
That's very method of you.
Thank you. And then for her more serious side, I sit back more like straightened and pretend I'm dead inside.
I mean, considering, some of the jobs we have to do in our real life, that's probably easier than, some of the other ways to get into character, I suppose.
That's true, huh? Yeah.
Although I imagine your higher education in psychology probably helps.
Yeah, it can. Sometimes.
Or do you sometimes have to prevent yourself from trying to treat the NPCs?
Oh boy, it depends on the NPC. Sometimes it's just like, nah, they can suffer. But
it's like, I don't like them. They must suffer.
Indeed, indeed.
All right. As for me, it kind of depends on the character, honestly. Some characters, I get into character by finding their voice and then speaking in it, kind of like with what Evil Tendencies does. Although admittedly, sometimes getting into a character like that, or getting the voice, getting into a character like that actually involves me physically moving my throat or portions of my throat, which is that TMI?
No.
All right. Thank you. I'm just making sure, you start getting into bodily stuff. Anywho, and then other times, it's also very frequently, my mind is prone to wandering. So sometimes I direct it by imagining the scenarios that I'm going to be inflicting on you, what they would say. I guess you could say kind of pre-rehearsing it in my head a bit. So, I kind of try to nail things down that way. So, as I said, it varies by character. Like, for instance, Ken Galva, definitely a voice thing.
That makes sense.
While Hildy is definitely a rehearsal mentality sort of approach.
I look forward to when you play some of my sisters.
Yes, the Silent Luminaries are an interesting bunch. For those of you listening who don't know, I have a whole lore document. And should I mention the whole thing? I've hinted at the whole thing with them before. Should I mention it now?
I don't see why not.
So the thing about the silent luminaries is that they're prone to disassociation in battle. They take the concept of like the battle phase or the battle mind to like the next step, or they take it to a bit of an extreme, to where it almost at times seems like they're two different people, one on the battlefield and one off the battlefield. And that kind of feeds into part of the way they got the name of the silent luminaries. In their combat phases, they kind of just go quiet.
Hence the personality shift when things get a little too serious for Chiako's taste.
Indeed. I imagine that was part of, if I recall correctly, that's part of what drew you to the silent luminaries to begin with.
Well, yeah.
Don't hate, disassociate.
All right, that's a t-shirt.
Yeah, we'll put that in the t-shirt suggestions.
Yeah. And just as a quick note to all of the listeners, fans, and otters and trench coats out there, if you guys have ideas for t-shirts that we can do, we're kind of making a list. Toss them in the comments. Let us know what you think about that. We're always looking for new ideas for that, for when we eventually make some.
Yeah, we're just having fun with it.
All right, and relating to the previous question, do any of you have any challenges staying in character? And let's go with Ira first.
It's not staying in character per se. I would say the most difficult part of Lisa is making sure her, for lack of a better term, nagging doesn't undermine other people's fun.
Fair concern. To borrow the comedic term. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say, you guys.
All right. To borrow the comedic terms, Alyssa is the straight man in this comedy duo.
She often is. And this is, at the end of the day, a fantasy. Things are being done because they are fun and enjoyable. So it's, important to never let, Elysia stop the fun from happening, even though rules mostly exist to stop the fun from happening, because the fun happening usually leads to problems.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but that's the joy of fiction. You can have a little fun and it doesn't lead to problematic outcomes.
Fair enough. In fiction, even the wet blankets need to be fun. All right, what about you, Evil Tendencies? Do you have any challenges staying in Petra's character? Or once you're set, are you locked in?
Just due to an unfortunate career choice as a young man, I'd say that my bigger problem is getting out of character for her.
Oof.
Yeah. She is definitely part of me and I'm a part of her in terms of sort of the grumpy curmudgeon. And while it's fun to play, it's not fun to be. So I actually kind of have to walk around a little bit afterwards, shake my head, shake my hands, look at pictures of otters.
Find the fun.
Yeah. And actually, it's funny, Ira, that you say that, you're trying not to get step on other people's fun. The banter between Elisa and Petra actually does make it easier to stay in character, but also to get out of character. So, yeah.
Your banter's the best, I'm just going to say.
It is fun.
It makes my day.
And now you just made mine. So there.
Yay. Okay, what about you, Rin? Do you have any challenges staying in character?
Not usually, but I actually have slipped out of character previously.
Gasp.
I know. When we were going around and pretending to be civilians, I did one of my more normal voices, and I'm just like, oh, shoot, I used the wrong voice. Same personality, but still the wrong voice. And I'm just like, hang on, I can work this. Chiako's done like special secret ops stuff and snuck around a lot and pretended to be people she's not. So I'll just make this one of her other voices that may or may not live in her head. I'm not going to say, but this is one of her
She has a collection
versions of herself. Yeah. So I took a slip up and made it part of her.
Hey, which, is a good approach to take.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
At the risk of sounding, as for me, at the risk of sounding at the risk of tooting my own horn, as far as I'm consciously aware, I don't have problems staying in character. I've been gaming for over 2 decades now. For one, my dad's a thespian, so there was that. I've had a lot of osmosis, I guess you could say, but also just the fact that, as I mentioned before, with finding voices, I play through this a lot in my head. So it's kind of just already there. Or, I firmly implant it in my head, and so I don't tend to lose it.
I'd say that makes sense.
I do that sometimes.
Do you ever feel like you confuse characters, like if you're juggling multiples at once?
Not really, to be honest. I guess you could say in my head, I visualize it as just switching between masks.
I can see that. At work, we often refer to that as switching hats, though. Like the therapist hat versus the friend hat versus the I hate you right now hat. I'm just kidding, that one doesn't exist.
That you're willing to admit to.
Allegedly.
Shush, 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 shush.
So yeah, it's just kind of like, I'm in the middle of things. I need to switch, so it's just kind of like, okay, you can't see my hands moving as I'm just trying to describe this, but it's just switch, and then if I'm having two people talk to each other, I kind of like shift positions a little bit. Not sure if that's like my years of YouTube or my film degree kicking in, but there you go.
Makes sense.
All right, so last question for now, since we've gotten some good stuff so far. Without spoilers, or at the very least, spoilers the more recent episodes, what is your favorite line or scene so far? And we'll start with you, Evil Tendencies. On the spot.
Yeah. Man, there's a lot of them. I can't remember which episode it was. And that's because I think it might be multiple episodes. But Elisa was yelling at Petra for shooting somebody. And she was going on and on about due process, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Kind of stopped listening. And, Petra's talking very pragmatically about, we gotta do what we gotta do. And then Chiako chimes in. Rin steps in and says something to the effect of, "Oh, Accountant Mom and Soldier Mom are fighting."
I remember that.
I had to work so hard to keep from just like completely dropping out of character. It was so awesome.
I think it was like Dad, Mom, and Mom.
Yes, that's it. But like all three of us were firing on all cylinders in that moment, and that was just fun. I really like that kind of flow state where we just do the thing.
Good times. All right, what about you, Rin? What's your favorite line or scene so far?
All right, let me think for a sec. Okay, so my favorite line goes all the way back to, I believe, episode 1. Might be 2, but I'm fairly certain it's episode 1. And it's basically where Elisa is like so grumpy and is like, "The Daughters of Harmony, here to help you read legalese and to count to 10.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
It cracks me up every time. As for a favorite scene, though, I like the interrogation scenes. Elisa's doing her thing, and then Petra and Chiaka are just like doing backup banter, basically.
Doing the Statler and Waldorf. Doing the Statler and Waldorf.
Not quite to that degree, I'd say, but
in that direction.
But yeah, those are some of my favorite scenes.
Very nice. What about you, Ira?
I can tell you what my least favorite scene is.
Oh, what's that?
It's the one where, like an idiot, I stand there trying to do my stupid ritual and then find out later that I didn't have to do that.
We're definitely cutting this out of the final cut.
Hey, it's a learning experience. Thank you. Don't be too hard on yourself. That's my job.
But I can't help it.
All right. What about you, Ira? What's your favorite line or scene so far?
I do think the scene where Petra shot the base commander through the head is definitely a high scene. So solely because the tension and of that scene was quite a moment of each character playing themselves, expressing themselves quite vibrantly through in reaction to that scene and its consequences.
Yeah, that was a fun scene. For the listeners at home, that was the pre-adventure before the actual campaign started, where we were, hammering out character details as well as finalizing which gaming system we were going to use.
Mm-hmm. That was fun times.
Yeah. Maybe for the viewers at home, one of us should briefly set the scene.
All right. Rin, go.
No, please not me.
Okay, fine. Evil tendencies.
All right. Well, we our characters were on a world that where a one of the host sisters from another host had gone missing, and we had also discovered that there were some hostile aliens on this world. And now, because my memory out of character is absolutely terrible, I'm not entirely sure the exact sequence of events, but at one point, at a certain point, the base commander for the garrison on this world, we discovered that he was corrupt and had set in motion the event by making this host sister disappear. And
a magic sword was involved.
Yeah. So after briefly consulting with Rin and Ira here, saying, do you mind if I throw a grenade into this? And them saying, okay, I just say, okay, yeah, I'm just going to shoot the base commander in the head. And just watch the chaos unfold, and it was glorious.
It was, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
you three kept throwing me curveballs during the pre-adventure, which I like to think has helped a lot in the main campaign.
But I mean, I don't know about you, Ira, but I just absolutely loved listening to Elisa flip out over that action. It was great.
There's this little thing called due process. Or something like that, if I recall correctly.
It was quite the moment. I remember that.
Since I have, as for me, since I have such a direct hand in, all the scenes, it's kind of hard to peg one down as like my favorite. I guess you could say the scenes broadly speaking, the scenes with high emotion tend to be my favorite. Maybe too much anime over the course of my life, but just let me get the popcorn as I set you all about spin. Just let me get the popcorn as I set all of you to spin.
We're good at spinning.
Indeed, you are. Although I think one of my favorite lines, which is in the T-shirt section, is no, that's a war crime. War crimes are bad.
Sometimes.
Indeed. Happy war crimes, the fun kind. And on that note, we've gone through the questions. It's been about 30-ish minutes. So I think this is a good place to stop for this particular behind the scenes. But as I said before, if you have any questions you want us to tackle or any suggestions for t-shirts, just leave them below. Do the whole YouTube thing with the liking and the subscribing, etc., etc. I always feel a little dirty when I have to say that because I feel like it detracts from, making the thing. But one must do what one must do, I suppose. And on that happy note, fare thee well, subjects.
Bye-bye.
After this, we're getting tacos.
More tacos.